Hi there, I'm Dan Martell, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this episode, I'm going to share with you the 5 business outcomes that you need to improve and master to build a world-class software as a service SaaS business. But the truth is, they apply to all businesses, so you're going to want to check this out and be sure to stay at the end. If you've ever been curious, what I call software curious, you want to learn my specific strategies on how to pre-sell and build and finally launch a software company, I'm going to tell you exactly how to get access to my free idea to exit course. But let's get into it. So one of my philosophies in business is to study wide but go deep. So oftentimes I like to be inspired by different industries. I mean, we're talking real estate, self-storage, commercial, airline industries, service businesses, online, drop ship, e-commerce, crypto, you name it, I study it. And the reason why is I'm always looking for patterns to adopt and bring into my software businesses. And even though when I started off, I didn't know anything about business. I was a programmer. I would just code, stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, and I would just build. And I keep building and building and building. And then over time, after 2 failed companies, I realized the only way to be successful in business is to understand the game of business. What are the key frameworks or outcomes that if you master, you can apply it not only to the current business, because this is the cool part, you can apply it to every business you might be involved in the future. So what I want to share with you is kind of these 5 areas that I've learned reading over 1,000 business books, doing tens of millions online in SaaS sales and revenue, to show you the opportunity in your current business that you can invest in to get a disproportionate return. So let's get into it. Number 1, upsells. Okay, so if you don't know what an upsell is, if you don't know what average order value is, this is the concept, is whatever you sell as oftentimes called a front-end offer, some people call it a tripwire. Essentially, it's your initial sale. You want to ask yourself, if somebody's struggling with this problem, what's the other problem that unlocks once they solve that? And then you can present that as a potential upsell. And the reason why you want to do this is because in today's world where the advertising platforms, I don't know if you've been involved in Facebook lately, every ad platform over time gets more expensive. So the person who can spend the most to acquire a customer is going to win their market. And the best way to do that is through upsells. So I have a client called ClickFunnels. Some of you guys may know who they are, but I've been working with them for a long time, and they've built the platform around essentially creating funnels and the ability to upsell and downsell. But this strategy, when I see most businesses out there, especially in SaaS, they don't even have any concept of this. They might think of, well, hopefully someday the client will migrate to the next package or buy one of these add-ons, and then that's called expansion revenue. But the truth is in your acquisition, when you acquire a customer, you have so much opportunity in the upsell downsell process to monetize. It's going to allow you to spend more money to acquire more customers. And that's the difference between winning a market and losing in a market. So if you haven't thought strategically about what are some of these other things that we can sell, I want you to Google upsells for SaaS and go deep down this rabbit hole so you can help monetize those initial customer engagements so that you can reinvest in your marketing. Number 2 is use cases. Now I have a video on use cases. Check it out from last week. But most businesses, especially in SaaS, don't do a great job at capturing customer case studies, okay? And the use case is really trying to teach a buyer or prospect how people use your product, okay? So if you're making the customer or the new user try to figure out all the different ways your product can create value for them, you're making them work way too hard. What I would recommend instead is outline the 3 to 5 use cases that you've got going on for how people use your product, and then use a customer case study to exemplify how to do this. A product called Drift does this really well. One of my clients, Chris, and his brother Jonathan at trainual.com does this incredibly well. All their content is focused on use cases of their products, featuring customers, getting results, having impact. So if you're not doing that, double click, go on the search around use cases for how you can produce the best ones for your product, and then just literally show the customers, this is how people get value, so you don't make them work so hard. Number 3, activation. So activation is the process. Think of it like level 1 in a video game. So when somebody, signs up for your product, it's that first initial experience. Sometimes it's called the first time user experience or the FTUE. But the whole point is to get a customer to go from like problem to a solution as fast as possible. And one of the ways that a lot of my clients do this is using challenge funnels. So I teach a framework called the Challenge Funnel Builder that a lot of clients, I just mentioned ClickFunnels, but I literally have dozens of clients that use challenge funnels. And the reason why is from an activation point of view, it literally moves the activation of your product outside of your product into a marketing campaign, right? So if you do a 7-day challenge for how to get your first 100 emails and then you're an email marketing solution, that's your software product, then all of a sudden getting customers activated gets moved outside of the product. It's a marketing funnel, and then you can get in the marketing funnel for the challenge funnel, you literally use your product as the product you recommend for everybody to go set up their subscription boxes and their forms on their websites and all that crazy stuff, right? I had a client, Kane, he had Coach Catalyst, and they used to do 7-day challenges all the time, again, to activate clients. If you've never heard this term before, double down on it, because the speed, we call it the time to first value, the speed you can go from signed up for your product to receiving value from your solution for a new customer, and that average keeps going lower and lower and lower, that's where you're gonna see disproportionate growth. Because if it takes normally 14 days for somebody to get value from your product and you bring that down to 3, well, A, most people aren't gonna stick around for 14 days. And B, if you do 3 days instead of 14 days, you're just gonna increase the cycle time. And that's why you're gonna have a disproportionate growth. So be sure to focus on activation. Number 4 is product. And a lot of times entrepreneurs, I was actually speaking at a very well-known, these guys do 40 million a year. They have a software product. They're also like one of the top coaching companies in the world. And they asked me to come down and help them kind of look at their whole engine and figure out where the bottlenecks were. And one of the areas that I seen was product leadership. And the reality is they had never heard this term before. They didn't understand, what does product actually mean? So, I'm not gonna go down into the deep aspect of it, but to me, it's the what do we build area that the product manager, and usually it's a CEO, but maybe the CEO is the worst person to be the product, because product is really there to make the engineering team more efficient. So if the product manager is the CEO and they're busy doing other stuff in the business, and they're not showing up and producing the kind of assets and leadership and management that's required to make the engineers more productive, and they're not managing priorities properly. I mean, I had one of my clients was bragging because they have like a voting system for their clients to vote on what features they should build next. And the engineering team just literally takes things off the top of the voting system and just builds it with no clarity, with no strategic roadmap, with no positioning or future pacing. Like literally, that is the worst way to build product. And it actually uncovers this challenge called the build trap, right? So Melissa Perry's got a great book. She's actually spoken at our SaaS Academy Intensive, and it's called Escaping the Build Trap. So if you feel like you're one of those owners or product managers where you just feel like you keep building and building and building, and it's creating a bunch of bugs, and you don't have real strategy, and you got competitors coming out and they're taking away your customer base, you're gonna wanna read Escaping the Build Trap, because you may be stuck into this product death loop of just featureitis, building stuff for marketing purpose or because customers are asking for it. But the truth is when you analyze who's asking for it, are they the perfect fit for you? Is this strategically important? Could you have accomplished this feature with integrations? I could sit here and talk about product all day long, but I just want you to know, spend some time there. Becoming a great product thinker, product strategist, product mind is a very important place from a dollars and cents point of view to grow your SaaS business. And number 5 is pricing, okay? Here's a question I love asking my coaching clients. Number 1 is, if somebody buys your business, what's the first thing? What's the 1 or 2 things they would change, okay? First thing, they know your industry, they buy your business, what's the 1 or 2 things they would change? And then the next question I ask them is, well, why haven't you made that change yet? Here's the reason I ask that, is because it's usually the fear of making those changes that are stopping people from having disproportionate results for effort. Now, what's interesting about asking that question for all my clients is that price is never on their list. Typically it's not. For maybe 10% it is. Yet, if you ask me, because I know a lot of private equity people, including myself, I do buy companies through High Speed Ventures. What's the first thing a company that buys your business is gonna do to increase the value? And it's simple, it's pricing. Because most founders do not continue to update the price value that they've created in the market. So I'm not gonna be able to dive in. I've done a ton of videos on pricing, but if you wanna know some of the people I admire that I've invited into my world to coach my clients, guys like Patrick Campbell at Price Intelligently. We've got my coach, Marcos Rivera, who's got an incredible book coming out, and pricingio.com is his website. And then also my friend Alex Hermosi wrote an amazing book called $100 Million Offer. In there, he has a lot of pricing psychology and arguments that if you're still sitting on the fence and you haven't pulled the trigger and you don't feel comfortable putting your prices up, I would highly recommend you read Alex's book, because that is the number one thing. I call it chocolate broccoli. It's not that much chocolate. It's not desirable to change your prices because it scares the bejesus out of a lot of people. However, from a pure ROI, time spent value to unlock resources to be able to invest in your business, maybe go hire people to lead some of the other areas I just mentioned, you can't beat pricing. So quick recap on the 5 business outcomes to master to be better in SaaS. Number 1, upsells, increase your average order value, front-end offers, etc. Use cases so that you can allow customers to see exactly how you can add value. Number 3 is activation. Challenge funnel style is my favorite. 4 is product, and 5 is pricing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I want to share with you my idea to exit mini course. This is the exact process I've used to launch multiple companies, pre-sell the product using clickable prototypes, build the team off of the dollars I've collected from pre-selling, and eventually launch and scale the company, raising venture capital and exiting. So it is all there. I know it's a big promise, but if you click the link below, you can get access to that. It's the idea to exit mini course. It goes over all of that and more. So just click the link below to download your copy. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and please leave me a comment. Let me know below what was the one thing that you needed to hear the most, what you liked, what you felt just was the biggest insight. Leave a comment below. And as per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday.